What's up, Happiest Hour family? It is so good to be back this week. We had a pretty exciting week. Last week we had Soaring Over Main Street on, which was so great to hear about how she started, how she's growing. Really cool things in the works for Soaring Over Main Street, and so glad and thankful that she was able to come on our show. So much fun. And then next week, or in a few days actually, we are going to Disneyland again for a good couple of days. And we cannot wait. It's going to be so fun.
So pumped. It's been like 6 months, which really isn't like that long, but it feels like way too long. So we're really ready to get back.
Yeah, and it is the Food and Wine Festival. It's going to be so much fun. So make sure if you're not following us on Instagram at the Happiest Hour on Earth, we're going to be posting some content from the parks. And then also another cool thing that happened this week is we published a BuzzFeed article about like our favorite drinks that we've ever made, Disney cocktails that we've made. And it got on the homepage, which is really cool. So that is actually in our link in the bio. So click there and see that BuzzFeed article if you're into lists. And if you click into that link, actually, we do have a link to Park Hop Tees, which we just partnered up with, which is super, super exciting because they make the coolest Disney shirts.
They do.
Yeah, she's wearing her, the Mad Tea Party. And I'm wearing my Fortune and Glory t-shirt. And they are absolutely amazing, and they have so many cool shirts, and they're dropping like almost every week some new shirts for their spring collection. And so go to our link and you could see our code in there. It is happiest15 in all caps, and you get 15% off your next order. So definitely check it out because they have some great stuff. Hey, you got to rep some dope merch in the parks, Disney merch, and grab yourself some of that.
Do it. Support some small Disney businesses.
Definitely. They are so great. Like, great people as well. Gabby is amazing. And they just keep dropping amazing shirts. So awesome.
Yeah.
But with that, tonight we're going to be talking about the Extreme Makeover Disneyland Edition. If we could do anything to the parks, you're going to hear about it tonight. Just some are minor, some are a little bit more major, and we want to hear from you guys what you would do with Disneyland. Let us know if you agree on some of these things, if you totally disagree with it. Just comment or like hit us up on Instagram. We'd love to know your thoughts, but without further ado, let's jump into the show.
All right, so before we get started on our topic, let me introduce our fun little drink tonight. We made the Duck Duck Razz, which we have heard so much about. Everybody talks about this little drink with the not very buoyant.
He's stinking a little bit.
Little ducky on top. Yeah, I don't know how they get it to work in the park, but
yours is totally sideways.
Yeah, they were perfect in the beginning, and it just doesn't stay that way.
We didn't figure out which ducks Walt Disney World uses, so we just picked a random duck. Maybe their ducks that they use are a little more buoyant.
I don't know. But you can buy a pack of them on Amazon, and it comes with so many of them. So we have a ton. We gave some to our son, and he was playing with them in the bath.
Great.
So these are the ones that we chose for the show, and they obviously are not floating well. Anyways, this drink is from the Boathouse in Disney Springs.
Yeah.
So it is a favorite, I guess, just because it's so cute and themey, and I guess it goes well with the Boathouse vibes. So we're pretty excited about it. I'm ready to give it a try after all we've heard.
I'm expecting really, really sweet, but let's see if
you're
that's
right.
Let's see if we're correct. Let's go. Cheers.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
It's sweet, for sure.
It's sweet.
But it's good. It's got a tartness too.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
It is for sure sweet.
It is for sure sweet. Yeah, so it is 2 ounces of raspberry vodka, 2 ounces of peach schnapps, lemon juice,
blue curacao, creating the blue color,
and a little bit of simple syrup, and I think I hit everything, and a rubber duck.
Yes.
And bam,
very important ingredient.
Duck Duck Razz. Yeah, that is good though.
It's sweet, but it's really tasty still. I would have one in the park.
I'd have one with a side of water. Just to make sure.
And a snack maybe.
And a snack,
soak some of that up.
Soak up the blue curacao, which will That's a
like it, though.
hangover maker right there.
I'm trying to think what the flavor reminds me of. Some kind of a candy or something.
Yeah. Kind of has like a melted Otter Pop, blue Otter Pop melted flavor.
Which is exactly what you said the open ocean with a splash reminded you of. So
that's like a semi-melted, and then this, because it's like blended, and this is like a straight up.
Yeah, and that one's rum and this one's vodka.
But it is raspberry. So yeah, the open ocean with a splash is raspberry rum, and this is raspberry vodka.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is good though.
I like it.
So good.
Really good. Okay. So let's get started on our discussion for tonight.
Yeah.
So obviously we all love the parks the way they are. I mean, you know, this is all very hypothetical. There's just like some things that we were like, like if we could change anything, what would it be about each land and each park? So we made a list. We were going to do Disney World as well, but being that we've only gone to Disney World one time and it was 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago.
Yeah, 2018, right? Oh no,
it's really sad to say.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Almost 4 years ago. So we just don't feel like we're experts on Disney World, and our memory of it is just kind of hazy. So we just decided to skip the Walt Disney World Dream Makeover for this time.
Maybe if we go back, yeah.
I was gonna say, maybe if we do another trip, we'll make another episode about that. But
For
this
sure.
one's just gonna be based on Disneyland and California Adventure. So
yeah. But if you have not been to Disneyland before and you are a Disney World native, you know, they do share some land, so keep listening for sure, because there might be some things that are kind of similar.
Yeah.
And might, you know, you might kind of vibe with our opinions or hate our opinions, but definitely listen and let us know for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're gonna start with California Adventure for the first topic. So when you first walk in, you hit Buena Vista Street, right? I mean, Buena Vista Street is perfect. Like, I mean, I think about how much it changed from back then. It was so disjointed before. There was just like nothing really that made sense about the whole entrance to California Adventure.
I mean, it like kind of made sense, right? It was just California.
It was just weird,
but it was just...
It wasn't done very well.
It wasn't drawing you in.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I could go to San Francisco or like San Diego instead and get like a...
It made so much sense that they switched the theme to like California when Disney came here. Like it was done so well. So for us, Buena Vista Street needs nothing.
Yeah.
I think it's perfect.
I mean, I don't know if you ever thought about this, but since we don't really have anything that we wanted to change about this, you know, I want to flesh it out a little bit. When it was the old entrance to California Adventure,
I don't even remember anymore. It's been so long.
I mean, yeah, but like I wouldn't have thought, oh, do old California. I guess I was like, well, this is weird, but let's just get to the lands I care about, you know? But they did it so perfect going with the 1920, 1930s California when Walt entered, you know, Hollywood to actually really start his dream. And I didn't think about that, but it's just so perfect because it's so complementary to Main Street.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
Whoever came up with that idea, I know it was under Bob Iger, but whoever actually had that vision, props to you because
done good.
I love it's almost just as exciting walking into Buena Vista Street as it is to Main Street now.
I agree. And I didn't used to feel that way. Not that I even recall. It's been so many years since it switched to Buena Vista, but yeah, I feel the same way. I get giddy when I walk in as well. It's done so well. It's perfect. So Hollywood Land is where we're headed next because that's usually where we go when we go to California Adventure. It's kind of our first stop. So Hollywood Land in general, I love. I think it's so great. But there are some areas that I just feel like they could utilize space a little bit better.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's I don't actually know what it's called, but the theater where they've kind of switched some things out. It's right by the Monsters ride.
PhilharMagic's there.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess PhilharMagic is there. I know that it was there. I thought that they had removed it again and that it was empty. But at one point was the Muppets show. And it had just kind of switched out a few times. And I was kind of like, well, you could put something else there. And I feel the same way about the Hyperion Theater, which used to do Aladdin and Frozen, and now it's also just sitting there. I'm like, there's no shows. It's just this big empty theater. So something I feel like could be done with both of those. Yeah. I'm not quite sure if they could do another ride. I don't think there's probably enough space. But those are just kind of empty, and they could do something with them that would stay there. Also, the area kind of between there, which is like right outside of the Monsters Inc. ride, there's just like a stage and a bunch of like kind of backstage looking stuff. No. That's just, there's not really anything going on there. And I don't know.
It's weirdly utilized. Like everything is...
It just seems very temporary, everything there.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the Monsters Inc. Ride. But then if you go back into that area, you're just like, is this just like an open hangout space for people to, that was like one of our, when we took our toddler there, that was one of the places where we're like, oh, this would be great for him to sleep at because there's not a lot of like traffic going through there because there's nothing really going on there.
It's kind of empty some of the time. So he took a nap in that like empty, like
the stage was good.
Stage spot. It was just like very non-exciting.
Yeah.
So that I feel like they could do something about, which also leads me to my other idea, which we were talking about. I also feel like at this point, I don't know how it would be done, but the Monsters Inc. ride at this point should be somewhere on Pixar Pier because all the Pixar things are over there. And then we have Hollywoodland and these random areas that there's not much going on, and then a Monsters Inc. ride. And it's just kind of like, it doesn't make sense anymore. And I don't know where it would go because it is a kind of big ride and takes up a lot of space. So I don't know if they would have to like take out a ride or take out like the little like arcade game area, or I don't know how it would work. But if everything was just perfect and it could just work out, I think Monsters Inc. would go there, and then they would just do something with that whole Hollywood lounge area.
Yeah, it's very, I mean, yeah, that's the thing too. We're going very hypothetical here because the way that they got Flick's flyers, right, from Bugs Land and dropped it over to Inside Out, the emotional whirlwind in Pixar Pier, that's a very basic ride system. It's just a spinner ride, and they just had to move it and drop it and then redecorate it and all this stuff. Monsters Inc. is a lot more work. You have the animatronics that are really, really fun. A lot of the other stuff. But in a perfect world, I think we should do every Pixar thing in Pixar Pier except for Cars Land, because that's also Pixar. But it needs its own land. Yeah.
One ride off by itself in Hollywood Land is just weird.
Hollywood Land is very interesting because there you have, and there are a lot of parts of Hollywood Land that I do love, especially off the page, and then also the place where you go in.
Animation Academy.
Animation Academy.
Yes, they cannot move that. I would be heartbroken. I love that place.
Yeah, I love that. So we do need some Hollywood Land. But the funny thing is that there's a huge Marvel presence in Hollywood Land. I mean, there was a WandaVision thing there. There was a Captain Marvel thing there. There was a Spider-Man. There's always some stuff there. And then you have Monsters Inc. Weird, all this stuff.
And it used to be a Frozen thing. At one point, there was like a band that would play. It was Alice in Wonderland. It was like, it's just always switching, which is okay, I guess, but it would be cool if there was something permanent.
And that brings us to the next land, which is Avengers Campus, which I think there needs to be a slight extension to Avengers Campus because it just seems very
cramped,
small and cramped, right? And
like
for such a big property as Marvel, I think it deserves a little bit more.
I agree.
Almost as much as Star Wars, although, obviously we don't have the space to do that. But I think that since Guardians of the Galaxy is a part of Avengers Campus, but that used to be a part of Hollywood Land, I think there needs to be some sort of expansion through Hollywood Land. But the thing is Hyperion Theater, I wouldn't want to lose, and that is like crucial to, And
there's a lot that it would have to take over, which it's like so hard the way that it's set up.
How it's set up,
how it would work.
Because Hyperion Theater, if the Hyperion Theater wasn't there, I would say extend Avengers Campus all the way through Animation Academy and kind of like through that back area. And then you could drop like another ride, hopefully around there. But the thing is, the Hyperion really throws everything off because you can't pass that.
The Avengers show that was in
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye.
Yeah. If they switched Frozen to Avengers, I'm sure people would be
weird.
like a little bummed, but that would be hysterical. That would be hysterical. But yeah, that is a really interesting land. But the first note that I had down here, let's get that e-ticket Avengers ride, please. I know that the sad thing about it is Galaxy's Edge, they opened that when it was just Smuggler's Run. Mm-hmm. And people were like, okay, this is like a glorified Star Tours. You know, that's great, all this stuff. But we're waiting for Rise of the Resistance. And Rise of the Resistance was being built by that time.
Yeah.
For Avengers Campus.
Like, we know nothing of any other ride.
Yeah, they did Web Slingers. And then originally they said, we're going to do an Avengers e-ticket attraction and Web Slingers. And I was like, I don't really care about Web Slingers. But at least there's going to be a second ride that's going to be like this big
main attraction.
Main attraction. Then because of budget cuts and stuff like that, they put that on pause. And now we don't even know. They said that they are going to keep it in the plans as long as finances are looking good. So screw finances. You'll get the money back. People will be coming for that ride.
Yeah.
So screw it. Build that thing.
We need
because
it.
We do. The thing is that what's it called? Guardians, even though it's a part of Avengers Campus, doesn't really feel
it's not new.
Like it's a part of it because the only new thing is a glorified Midway Mania. Mm-hmm. They're just it's just a
there was
thing.
Nothing super exciting, and I just feel like Avengers Campus was like a long shot with the space that they had.
Yeah, that
was Bugs Land. Like, it wasn't that big of a land, and like for Avengers themed land, that's big. Like, I mean, we have a restaurant and bar, one ride, and a bunch of like photo op spots. That's pretty much it. I mean, Spider-Man does his fling.
Spider-Man thing is cool.
That's cool. But it's like, I just feel like everyone had their hopes up for it to be a lot more than it was. And I personally was a bit disappointed being there. I was like, this is fine, but like, I kind of like Bugs Land. Not that I wrote anything there, but I just always loved walking through it.
Yeah. This is a hot take.
Uh-oh.
Was Bugs Land better themed than Avengers Campus? We've only been to Avengers Campus
better
once,
themed?
But
I would
better
say.
Themed. The way that those like long plants were above you and you felt very small.
The bathroom that was
the
tissue box.
Honestly,
awesome.
I felt like a little tiny bug when I walked through. When I walked through Avengers Campus, do I feel like I'm in the presence of superheroes? Sometimes we haven't hung out there as much as we should.
Yeah,
and we should go see the Doctor Strange show, and we didn't see that yet. Just because it's hard with the baby guys,
Yeah,
it's hard.
Planning your day can be a
hang out there, but we should hang out there a little bit more and see what it has to offer. But the only way they could rectify our feelings, I feel like, would be to continue that Avengers attraction because that sounds pretty state of the art, pretty amazing, and we need it. So let's do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Should we move on?
Yeah, on to the next one, which is Cars Land. This, contrary to Avengers Campus, was done perfectly.
Yes.
And
you can't change it.
I don't have much to add. Like, I would make it bigger because it's so great. Like, I love Cars Land so much. Like,
Cars Land is prime Disney.
It is themed so stinking well, and the rides are great. There's the restaurant. Like, I mean, it looks identical.
Yeah.
To why did I just blank on the town? Radiator Springs. It is just perfect. So
this is one land that, like, even though Disney World has so much more to do, they have like Magic Kingdom. There's a lot of new things that Disneyland doesn't have, and they have 3 extra parks. This is one that I'm like, if people are weary about coming to Disneyland, I'm like,
Gotta check out
Cars Land is honestly so amazing, and I think that's a standout. Land
I agree, and I think a
don't get
lot
to
of people
experience.
have that opinion. It's really just done so well. And the
is.
ride, like Radiator Springs Racers, is like the perfect ride. I
Yeah.
don't know who could be in a disagreement with that. It's
Yeah.
like it has the thrill, it has the theming, it has a dark ride feel. Like it's like a combination of everything.
I think the only thing holding Radiator Springs Racers back from being like one of my top rides is that it wasn't like a classic older ride. Like, other than that, the ride itself is just perfect.
Yeah.
But I always put like Pirates, Haunted, Space, and all that stuff before
Of
because
the
it's just
newer
older.
rides that
But
have
the
been
newer,
made
yeah.
in the last like 10 to 15 years, for sure.
It's
a fave.
incredible.
Like
Yeah.
probably fave. And the only bummer about it is how long the line always is. You just kind of have to go single rider on that one. Like we keep, because our trip is coming up in a week, we keep checking lines to see like, because we'll be there this day next week and yesterday and tomorrow. And so we've been checking each day to see the lines. And that one always is like
single ride.
almost an hour and a half.
It's almost on par with Rise of the Resistance
Yeah.
because it's that good.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty great. So
It is.
All right.
Should we
You
move
want to
on?
bring up the next one?
Yeah, so Pacific Wharf, which is when you come out of Cars Land, or actually if you
go
the
the
secret
awesome
passageway, which is the best.
My
Oh
favorite
gosh.
way to leave Cars Land.
If you haven't been the secret passageway, you'll be in awe when you go through it. If you bypass like the entrance of, it's near like the Radiator Springs entrance, but if you go towards there and then go right, you'll go past this like beautiful like red rocky area, and then you'll end up into Pixar Wharf, and it's honestly like one of the most beautiful. Pacific Wharf. What is it?
Pacific Wharf. No, you said Pixar Wharf. sorry.
Pixar Wharf.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe they just.
I mean, yeah.
But Pacific Wharf. Honestly, it is probably like one of the most beautiful and peaceful areas in all of Disneyland Resort. I love it. But when you go over there, you find yourself in Pacific Wharf. This is one area that you can't really change too much.
It's just restaurants.
Yeah, it's just restaurants.
It's literally just restaurants.
And we vibe with that. Like
I like that there's different cuisines pretty much all over. I think like the only thing I would say is maybe just add a new restaurant because I feel like the same ones have been there for a really, really long time. I don't know if that would mean taking away one or I guess they would have to. But yeah, I mean it's a pretty fun little spot to go grab some food. I always get a bread bowl from the Boudin Bakery.
So good. Yeah, I love the Mexican restaurant there too, which is great.
Yeah, and we always get beer.
So there's Pacific Wharf Distribution Company.
Yeah.
That beer is so good.
Yeah, some of the best.
Some great stuff.
Not to mention Rita's.
The margaritas.
Yeah, the
Rita's
margaritas.
I think.
Yeah, and I've gotten also the sangria there, which I also would say is pretty bomb.
That's some good stuff. And the cool thing is that it just feels like a port, right? Where like all these different cuisines are dropping off their goods, and then you're at the center point of.
I love
all
going
this
over
mix
there
of
midday. On a California Adventure Day. It's so nice.
It's great.
So yeah, wouldn't change too much about that. But next up, we have Pixar Pier, which is pretty recent at this point. I mean, was it
a couple years ago?
Yeah, Pixar Pier is pretty great. I love it. I love the retheme. But I mean, I loved the way that it was before too. I mean, I thought it was great. So if they had to change the theming, I think Pixar was a great choice because I'm a big Pixar fan. So love Lamplight Lounge. Love, everything that they did Pixar wise. The one thing we would say, and we might have some controversy over this with some of our listeners, Incredicoaster, not a fave. I loved so much California Screamin'.
The music
in
and of itself was so great.
It was just so good. It was such a great coaster, and it is still the same coaster. But I just feel like it was done, like we both agree, cheaply, it was kind of cheap. Yeah, like there's just stationary animatronics basically that are just placed randomly throughout. And like you hear things going on in your ears as you race around. But we also haven't ridden it at night, which I feel like at night could be a lot cooler to do. We've only ridden it at during the day, and maybe only one time. I feel like
No,
I've
we've
only
done
been
it.
on it once,
I
maybe
feel like
twice.
we've done it a couple times, but the biggest thing was, it would have been cool if there was like actual animatronics,
Like
but
moving stuff. Like it wasn't just something like posed like as you go through the tunnel or something.
and the best thing or the easiest thing they could have done, I guess, is because the thing is, it really brings you out of the story when you hear them talking and you look at their heads and their mouth isn't moving at all. You're like, oh, that's so fake. What they could have done is probably one of those like, but Buzz Lightyear and Astro Blasters or whatever, where it's like the video, I guess it's like the projector within their head, and it's just like a face that's talking. So you're not working on an animatronic that's actually moving robotically and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But putting one of those, and just same like Seven Doors Mine Train, right? A lot of their faces are just projected from within, and you see their facial movements. If they did that,
it would have changed.
it would have been so much better, because the thing is, you hear them talking and you look at their face and they're literally not moving at all. And I'm like, it's a little bit cheap looking.
Cheap, but yeah, it just reminds me of like another random theme park that would have done that, like Great America or Six Flags.
Put Superman in there and don't have him move, and you're like, all right.
Yeah, like it just could have been done better in my opinion. So I would change that. Aside from that, it's pretty great, but we had said that maybe moving Pixar Pier a little bit further down like the boardwalk, because I can't think where exactly it cuts off and isn't Pixar Pier anymore. I guess like kind of after,
I think like right at the Silly Symphony swings is where it transitions from Pixar Pier to Paradise Gardens Park.
Yeah, but I just was thinking if I could change another thing about Pixar Pier, bring back that band that was once there, right in this area that we're talking about. There used to be this Pixar band that was so good, and we only got to see them one time, but I would have sat there watching them all day. It was so good. They just did random Pixar songs, and it was beautiful.
They were the best.
Back.
That was honestly my favorite part of Pixar Pier.
Yeah.
So if you know someone,
ask them to bring it
back. Yeah.
If
you know someone who was a part of that, or if you knew someone who was a part of that band, tell them to talk to Disney and say, hey, someone said that was the best part of Pixar Pier, so bring us back.
Yeah.
And bring them back because they're so good.
It was great. But yeah, aside from that, we have like Goofy Sky School and Jumpin' Jellyfish, which are definitely kind of like kid themed. So I guess they don't really want to get rid of those. I don't know if they could change the theming on them.
I would just want to like expand Pixar Pier a little bit past where they currently have it, to bring in some new properties, right? Like I feel like it would be a huge thing, and obviously space wise, I don't know if they could do this, but if we brought Coco or something like that into Pixar Pier, that would be awesome. But you would probably have to demolish like a restaurant, which is like the Italian restaurant near there, and maybe Goofy Sky School, and then build something in that corner. But expanding Pixar Pier to maybe bring something like that there. Goofy Sky School, I know some people like it. It's whatever. It's cool.
Since it was Mulholland Madness.
Yeah.
And that I rode once.
Yeah, it's like it could change and bring one more dark ride to Pixar Pier. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, because you have Ariel, which also then I think we that's
could cut
at the
that
end.
off. I think honestly going to like Goofy Sky School, cutting it off, then still keeping Corn Dog Castle because that's the best. So that brings us to Paradise Gardens Park, which I mean, other than just a Pixar Pier expansion, I think doesn't really need too much more. Like I said, it is a weird land.
Yeah, it's weird that it even qualifies as a land. Now that I think about it, it's like such a short distance to be considered like a land. But
honestly, the whole Paradise Gardens Park, maybe like a park should be like an area. Maybe they should build an area that maybe kids can just kind of like.
Yeah, that would be cute.
Like a little more kid friendly, like place for them to do something. But you already get that in the next land we're going to talk about. Which is Grizzly Peak. And there you have the Wilderness Explorers, Redwood Creek Challenge Trail. It's one of those. It used to be Redwood Creek Challenge Trail. But this land, I mean, honestly, honestly, this land is so perfect. I love walking through this
Me
land.
too.
The only thing I think we came up with is maybe they could retheme River Rapids to Brother Bear, maybe have a few animatronics, but other than that, like, or maybe add a little bit of Phil Collins in there, you know? Like, but that's pretty much it. I mean, that land is very,
it's very
special
serene,
and serene
yeah.
and peaceful.
I love Grizzly Peak so much.
They did that great.
That whole walk from where Soren is all the way around when you go past Grand Californian and head towards the Redwood Creek Challenge, whatever it is. It's just so like peaceful. I love walking through there so much.
Yeah.
I don't think we would change much about Grizzly Peak.
I guess with that, we will go over to Disneyland. And when you enter Disneyland, you go onto Main Street and nothing needs to be changed. I mean, it's perfect.
I never would change anything about Main Street.
Yeah. And next up, we have... we always go left. Yeah. So we're going to go to Adventureland.
We always had Adventureland. And honestly, I think it's great right now. I think what they did to fix it in the last couple years was done really well. So now we have Tropical Hideaway, which I love. And I think it was a great utilization of space.
Yep.
And obviously love all the new Dole Whip flavors. That's like so fun. They have that. And and then they like made more walking space by moving the stroller parking. I think it was done really well. And other than that, aside from me just wishing that there was more space to make Adventureland bigger because I just feel like it's small.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do anything else to it. I love it. It's perfect.
It's so great. And moving, they also have a inside area for Bengal barbecue, which is great.
True.
I love Bengal barbecue. And I feel like I don't go there as much as I need to.
I know.
Because it's like my favorite, but it never like fully fills me. So I always go to like a real
It's more just
restaurant.
a snack thing. Like we always get the skewers and it's like
this time
5 pieces of chicken maybe. And it's just kind of like something to hold you over.
Yeah.
But it is so good. You know,
delicious.
Actually, I'm feeling another Bengal barbecue snack coming up soon. We've talked about doing the asparagus bacon one.
Yeah, is that like
bacon
the safari skewer?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? Okay, yeah.
We have a book
I have to do
that has that recipe in it, and I think we might have to do that soon.
I think we do.
Bengal barbecue.
So good. So next up, as you keep going, we have New Orleans Square. And honestly, New Orleans Square is
another
perfect
one.
I mean, it is so great. The only thing that we had here is that as Splash Mountain turns to Princess and the Frog, and we're thinking that New Orleans Square will get extended through that. Yeah,
because it would just make sense.
Right?
I don't know why they wouldn't.
Yeah,
if that is going to be the theme, like Tiana is based in New Orleans, so it's like just extend it through that ride.
So we're thinking the only thing that we would change is having a Tiana.
Tiani.
That was crazy. Having a Tiana's place at one of the restaurants. Switching one of the restaurants.
There's a couple restaurants. So I just think it would be cool to make one of them themed around Tiana, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Too bad they couldn't make a restaurant right on the rivers of America and just do like a little patio that's like kind of a little bit out in the water. That'd be perfect.
That would be so nice.
Not plausible, but we'll just say let's change one restaurant to Tiana's place. I think that'd be really, really fun. Yeah. And have live jazz music and have an animatronic alligator playing the trumpet.
That would be great.
Or someone dressed up as that.
Yeah, that would be so fun. But yeah, aside from that, New Orleans Square is great. I love it so much. The theming is perfect.
And it's so sad because next week, in a few days when we're there, Pirates is going to be closed, but at least we have the other most amazing attraction
in New Orleans Square. Yeah. Haunted Mansion.
Haunted will still be open, but
Pirates is the jam. It's my thing. Like, I'm so sad that it's going to be closed.
Terrible.
Heartbroken. It like doesn't feel like a complete Disneyland trip without Pirates for me. Ugh. So I'm pretty bummed about it. But
so sad.
It's all right. There'll be other trips. Moving on to Critter Country. So, like we were just talking about, if New Orleans Square were to extend through the new Tiana ride at some point, whenever that happens, because we still know nothing about it. But whenever that happens, we always talk about how Critter Country as a land doesn't make a whole lot of sense anymore because Splash Mountain was kind of a big part of that.
Yeah.
So really all you would have left are like Winnie the Pooh things, like the candy candy store. Shop store. You know what I was trying to say. And the ride. And then the Hungry Bear restaurant, which we were discussing. It would kind of make perfect sense to just make all of Critter Country at that point just like a Winnie the Pooh land. Like call it like Pooh Corner. Pooh's Corner. Yeah. And then just make the restaurant Hungry Bear, which is already like perfectly named, just make it themed around Winnie the Pooh. Because then you'd have the restaurant, the ride, and like a candy store and a like little shop. I just think it would make sense.
That's perfect. And maybe you could extend like maybe where the restaurant is, right? Like I feel like that transition from Hungry Bear to Galaxy's Edge is very, very long. Mm-hmm. Maybe you could do something within that restaurant where I know you get kind of like Pooh Sticks Bridge, like in the ride. Like there's technically, I think, a Pooh Sticks
of the ride. They should do something because isn't there an area between the candy store and the ride that's kind of just like woodsy looking?
Yeah, they could do something.
Can I imagine that? There should be a Pooh Sticks Bridge there.
I think there technically is, but it's in the queue for Pooh, and it's very small. I don't know.
It's not in the queue.
I think there's like a tiny little thing somewhere.
Anyways, I don't know.
Having like an official bigger Pooh Sticks Bridge.
Yeah.
And
just making that all Winnie the Pooh themed. Not that we're even like huge Winnie the Pooh fans. I just think that it would make sense. Yeah. He is really cute, and I love the characters, which also is there. The meet and greet. They're such cute little characters to meet. So I just feel like it would be kind of a cute thing.
It'd be cool.
And I hate to get rid of Critter Country. I love that name, and I loved that
critters land. Besides Pooh were Splash Mountain themed. So if you take those away from Song of the South,
it's then
it's just Pooh.
Exactly, just Pooh.
It should just be called Pooh World.
No, I don't like that.
You guys want to?
I feel like Pooh just shouldn't even be in the name for most of this, but I don't know. Winnie the Pooh makes sense for that area.
It does.
Anyways, moving on.
Moving on from Pooh, we have Galaxy's Edge, which. Oof. Okay. Let's do this thing. The thing that I have been asking for ever since they announced it, and then it never came true, and now it needs to come true. So if we could have a perfect Galaxy's Edge, make it feel more lived in. Like make it feel like a outer, rim world where there's actually people besides humans walking around. You'll see Chewie, you'll see stormtroopers,
Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren, but those are all humans besides Chewie.
Yeah.
So Chewie's really the only, and then you see Doc Ondar, who's in that gift shop, and he's not, obviously a human, but I think besides that, and on the rides you see, non-humans. That's it. They promised us, just like they did with the Galactic Star Cruiser, there's going to be aliens walking around, different otherworldly creatures, all these things. And that really, if they just paid some actors to walk around, they had some like makeup on, or maybe, I know makeup takes a lot of work, but if they had like some sort of mask on that made them look a little otherworldly and all that stuff, they were just walking around. You had droids. You had, I know R2-D2 has shown his face before, shown his mechanic parts, but just like some other droid type things walking around. Then I would actually believe that I was in a different world. Like right now, it just is like, there's just like a world filled, like inhabited with humans. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I mean, that's not to knock how beautiful the land is. Like, I mean, they did make it amazing, like architecturally and everything. It's just that they could have done a little bit more with the character, like integrations.
Yeah. And then another thing, like they talked about doing like a Bantha ride, which would be just kind of like a transportation type thing, but like they were going to build a Bantha that was going to be on wheels, and it would just like roam around the parks, and it would just feel, that would instantly, if I saw a Bantha walking around, I'd be like, Yep, we're in a Star Wars world.
But they
And
would
then
have to make
also-
it look like really, really good and realistic. Otherwise, it would look kind of cheesy and cheap.
But that was yeah.
If they did
they
it
talked
well, that
about
would have
it.
been sick.
They talked about that, and they also talked about a sit-down dining restaurant where there was going to be like performers as well, kind of like the Galactic Star Cruiser. That didn't happen, so I guess they moved to the Galactic Star Cruiser. And then also the last one, more missions for Smuggler's Run. They have been talking about this for a very long time. They said at the beginning of it that there was going to be different types of missions that you're going to be on, so that every time you rode on it, it wasn't going to be the same. But, you know, years into it, still the same mission, still the same experience. But those are the main things. Those are the things that would change, and it would be an even better land, even though it's already great.
It is pretty amazing already, but, you know, every land could use a little something, I guess.
A little TLC.
A little something, yeah. So next up, we have Frontierland, which I love. I think it's pretty close to perfect.
Yeah, especially with that new walkthrough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it. It has Thunder Mountain. It has Golden Horseshoe, which we always love to go into. It has, you know, a shop and that little like shooting range, I guess. We've never done that, but it's fun. Like, it's a fun land. Like, I think it's not really in need of a whole lot. It also has the restaurant
right next to Golden Horseshoe.
Yes, the other one. So there's, you know, dining options. I think it's pretty great. Okay, so next we have Fantasyland, which we all know and love, but it is very crowded. It's kind of just a small, cramped land. And obviously there's not much they can do about that. It's a popular land, especially because of the kids, because most of the rides there, the kids love and they can go on. So it's just a little bit crowded. And we just think that if they could, obviously very hypothetical because the space is limited and there's not much you can do about that. But the queues all could use a little bit of help, especially after being in Disney World and seeing how a lot of those queues were done. Yeah. Disneyland, could use a little help in that area in Fantasyland. Aside from that, I love it. I think we had mentioned maybe like a Tangled or a Frozen ride would be really fun. I don't know exactly where it would go because I really don't want to remove anything. And I know that there's been talk about it in the past, like removing Pinocchio. And I think they had talked about Snow White, but they just refurbed it. So I don't think that's going anywhere.
I think that an expansion could come, you know, as you get kind of out of Fantasyland as you're walking towards Small World before Toontown. Yeah. But the only thing is
space.
I want that theater to stay there because I do love that theater. But that land opens up, that like walkway opens up so much where like Fantasyland seems so cramped, but then you walk towards Small World and there's just a lot of open space. Where I think that they could probably utilize some of that area and do a, you know, because I love New Fantasyland at Disney World. And if they were able to somehow add an extra ride, I think that'd be great. And obviously, like, you have to look at a view from above and see like how much land could interfere with it. But they have gotten creative in the past of like how they utilize it. And I think
they could
a small Fantasyland expansion would be pretty.
I think it would be great. And yeah, now that you just mentioned the theater, I totally forgot about that being there and also being a vacant space.
Yeah.
I loved making the magical map so much and it is now gone. But yeah, that theater is just sitting there and that is so much space.
Yeah.
They either need to get another show in there, a really good one, because it needs to be able to rival making a magical map, or they could do something else with it. That is so much space.
Yeah.
It's just sitting there with nothing going on.
A lot. And even to the right, I feel like there's like right before Small World, there's kind of some space there.
It's a train exit, I know, right there between Toontown and where that theater is. I know that one of the train stops
over there. Yeah.
let you off. But other than that, there's nothing right there.
Yeah. I feel like they could try to find some way to do an expansion. That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So that moves us over to Toontown, which
already
honestly,
in refurbishment.
Yeah, the current renovation honestly sounds great as it is. They're going to make it a little more kid friendly, right? Like
it was already kid friendly.
It was already kid friendly, but the thing is that there's nothing in Disneyland where you could just let your kids run around and be kids, really. Like where in California Adventure they have the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail, whatever it's called now, where they could just run around, they could climb on like structures, they could play and all this stuff. But in Disneyland, like you have to have your eyes on them at all times. And even if they change something, you still need to watch them. But Toontown, they're getting like a big, nice, open, like grassy area, kind of more a park.
Yeah.
You know, a big fake mythical tree where they could kind of climb and just have some fun.
It sounds
on this
really
open
fun.
space.
I'm honestly so excited to see it.
Yeah.
I've always had kind of like a mixed feelings about Toontown. Like I always have loved it and thought it was really cute, but it's never somewhere I'm like that bummed if I miss going to it. Like there's other places I care more to go. But I'm really, really excited to see what they do with this renovation, especially now that we have a kid. I can't wait to like let him experience it. And they're not really changing much about like the characters' houses and all that, right?
No, so the character houses should be pretty much exactly the same. But we get a new ride, which is going to be great. Because the thing is this.
That's right.
Like you said, we don't really feel a draw to go there. But now you're going to get a draw to go there if you have kids, because there's going to be an open place where they could just run and get their energy out. But you also have a draw for those who don't have kids, because it's a new Mickey ride, Runaway Railway, which is in Disney World. But now it's going to bring people into the land that don't have kids and who do have kids, because it's going to be the only Mickey ride in all of Disneyland Resort.
Which is
it's also
crazy
going to be an
me.
open space for kids to play.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
It is. It's going to be really fun. I'm really excited. And yeah, it's so weird that there has never been a Mickey themed ride until now.
It's
like
ridiculous.
all these years that Disneyland has been open and they're just now making it a Mickey ride.
I wish it was classic Mickey.
Yes, can't lie. Not a huge fan of the current Mickey. I'm sorry.
Let us know. I know this might be contentious for some people, but if you're a fan of the new Mickey, hit us up on IG or comment below. If you're not, let us know as well, because we feel you.
Still excited to ride the ride, but I wish that the Mickey was different. Anyways, moving on.
So after Toontown, the last land that we have is Tomorrowland. And I know within the Disney community, there's a lot of people who always talk about Tomorrowland and how it needs to change, because there's a lot of it's a little disjointed, right? Tomorrowland, you're thinking about the future, what's next, but then you also have Star Wars there, which technically is a long time ago. And then you also have Buzz Lightyear there, which is like, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
How's that in Tomorrowland?
I
guess just spacey, right? It's kind of almost turned into Spaceland rather than Tomorrowland, right? Everything that has to deal with space is there. So we're trying to think, what is the best theme? And I don't think we have the correct answer, but you could either try to make it as futuristic as possible. But the thing is this, technology moves so quick that if you are like, hey, let's build the most futuristic park we could ever think, or land we could ever think of, it's going to be obsolete by the time that it completes.
Yeah, give it 5 years or even less. And there's going to be so much more new technology.
Yeah.
That it's like, it's not really futuristic anymore.
Yeah. So it's like you could either go that route, or you could do a almost fantastical future outlook where people in the 50s, I remember my parents always saying, oh, we just thought we would have flying cars by then, or like we would all be able to go into space by then. All this stuff where our future today is, oh, we could talk to people on the phone and see their face, all this stuff. So like kind of more to that kind of tech driven thing. But I think Tomorrowland should maybe go that route of like what people thought way back when. Let's bring in Tron, perhaps, right? Like it's not flying cars, but it is very this like hyper speed motorbike through the,
And all the
I don't even know what it is.
colors
All
and the
yeah.
neon and stuff. It just would fit there so well.
It would.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to go. If they
I
were
think
to do
so
a
too.
renovation.
Because like back when Disneyland opened, everything that we have now was the future, and even like before now. And so that's kind of still what it's based around. But if there was some way that they could incorporate like every new decade of new technology into the park so that it's like it's ever growing, it's an ever changing thing, the future. So I don't really know how that would be done, but I just feel like for it to be Tomorrowland, that tomorrow is always the thinking behind it. And yeah, the fact that Star Tours is still there, Buzz Lightyear is still there when we have a Star Wars land not too far away, and also a Pixar land, or Pixar Pier, but a land dedicated to Pixar, that both of those could be rehomed. Not easily, but they could be if we're thinking hypothetically. Then they could do so much more with Tomorrowland and the space that they have. Also, Innovention.
Yeah.
And
Launch Bay.
Yeah, whatever. Launch Bay. I still will always think of it as Innovention.
Yeah.
And Autopia take up that much space that are just kind of like.
Yeah, Autopia is hard
on?
because that was an opening park attraction.
Yeah.
But I think if
Sad.
if it's either Autopia or Tron Light Cycle Coaster, I would say let's put Tron Light Cycle Coaster in there. You talking about kind of showing the different phases of technology, I think that could take over like Launch Bay. Have like a cool exhibit of like how technology has progressed through the ages.
Well, which
and
is
what's to come.
identical basically to Carousel of
Inventions.
Progress.
Carousel of Progress. Oh, yeah.
In Disney World. But just maybe update it, make it more current.
Yeah.
And we have like a new Carousel of Progress and Innovention.
Ooh, an updated Carousel of Progress. Ooh, that'd be sweet.
Wouldn't that be cool?
That'd
I feel
be
like it
pretty
would make
awesome.
sense for being in Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
Which isn't
I
it?
know.
Is it in Tomorrowland and
Yeah.
Magic Kingdom?
I believe so.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I know we went on it, but I can't remember. I think it is.
I think it's in Tomorrowland.
But yeah, it makes sense that it would be there. So I wish that they would do that here.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. A cool use of space for where Launch Bay is right now. But yeah, Tomorrowland is so interesting because you can't, if you try to make it the most futuristic thing possible, it's going to be obsolete. So I think you just need to make it. Man, I mean, honestly, that Tron like canopy that it has and the lights flashing through it at night. We need more kinetic energy through that land, right?
Yeah.
To like make it feel futuristic, but not how we see futuristic today. And we think about, sorry, this is the last point. We think about when Tomorrowland opened. I think it was right at the opening of Tomorrowland. They had a guy in a jetpack flying, like legit flying above Tomorrowland and doing all this stuff. Yet we don't even see jetpacks in today's world.
Yeah.
So it's kind of ridiculous. Like we are much more advanced now than it was back then. But that's the type of thing that I think we need to add into that land. But I guess with that was our last land. We are so curious what you guys would change about the lands. Obviously, don't take this episode as like, oh, everything needs to be changed because we love the parks as they are. But
It's
if we
like,
if we could change
if things were going to be changed in each land, what would you do?
Yeah,
Basically.
for sure. And we're just so thankful that you guys have followed us on our journey. It's been so amazing these past couple of weeks. Thank you for all your support. And we're going to be in the parks next week. So we aren't going to have an episode, but you will see a lot of Disney content because we will be in Disneyland. I'm so excited.
I know, me too. Yeah, we'll be updating you guys on our trip, and we'll obviously have a follow-up episode after that trip. We'll do a little recap for you guys of how everything went. So we're so excited for that. We cannot wait for our trip.
Yeah, and remember, Park Hop Tees, use our code happiest15, get 15% off. There's some great shirts dropping
great.
and already some amazing shirts that have been on the site.
Yeah.
Definitely need to grab a few more.
We also got a shirt for our son because they have a few kids' shirts. So can't wait to put him in that.
Oh yeah, it's so fun. But we just want to thank you so much again for listening. We will catch you guys in a little bit. Thanks for joining.
Bye, guys.